Hey, wait, before we get into the episode, I want to share some exciting news with you. My new book comes out September 30th, and it's called Less Lost: Finding and Being Yourself in the Wilds of Ordinary Life. It's part memoir, part field guide to being yourself in a world that keeps asking you to be someone else. And in it, I share stories from yoga sessions, motorcycle rides, encounters in nature, and even a run-in with the Dalai Lama. And every chapter pairs a story with an embodied practice or tool you can actually use in your own life, not to fix yourself or chase perfection, but to reclaim forgotten parts of who you are, stand in discomfort without disappearing, and belong to yourself without losing connection. Less Lost drops September 30th, and I can't wait for you to grab a copy for yourself and maybe one for a friend who could use the reminder you don't need to fix yourself. You just need to find your way back to being yourself. All right, now on to the show. Hey friend, welcome back to Hey Wait. You might not know this about me, but I am a huge fan of movies, and I love me a good character-driven TV show. Watching a story is definitely a glimmer for me, or a form of self-care. And years ago, when I was watching the ABC hit TV show A Million Little Things on my computer, in my lap, on my couch, I never in a million years would have thought I'd ever have a conversation with one of the show's main actors. But here I am today, getting to talk with Stephanie Szostak. And I'm just going to tell you, you're in for a treat because she is just a truly lovely human being. In addition to playing Delilah in the show A Million Little Things, you might know Stephanie from her roles in The Devil Wears Prada, Iron Man 3, or Dinner for Schmucks, among many other films. And in addition to being an actor, Stephanie's also a public speaker and a champion for mental health awareness. She's also the author of Selfish, which is a really awesome workbook that I personally use that helps you to create a personal playbook of all the tools that you use to be good to yourself and to embrace your authenticity. Stephanie walks her talk when it comes to actually using her own playbook, because though she's open about her passion for her career and her love of connection and creativity and her natural optimism, she's also real about the other side, her fear, doubt, loss, and the shitty little voice in her head that tells her she's not good enough. You'll hear how she wrestles with all of it and how she's built practices to keep herself grounded and true to herself along the way. So if you've ever struggled with self-doubt, had to make a decision that scared you, or felt like you were losing sight of your own priorities, the stories and tools that Stephanie shares today will help you reconnect with your own values and passions. I am so happy to have you here, Stephanie. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited too, Jay.
Well, it's funny. I was just telling you before we recorded, I was like, usually on this show, I'm interviewing coaches and therapists and other people who've been in direct care roles. And you are my first Hollywood actor that I've ever interviewed.
I don't know that I would say Hollywood. I mean, I am an actor, but I guess I'm your first everyday person in a way, not an
Well,
expert
there you go.
of
Right? There you go.
well-being. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because the real reason why I'm having you on isn't because of all of the things I've seen you in and that I admire you in. It's that I've come to know you, other than as a fellow William and Mary alum, I've come to know you as a mental health advocate, and not in the form of like giving motivational speeches, but like you're out there actually candidly talking about your own experience, and you do it in a way that's real and human and funny, and I think there is just such powerful good medicine in being able to hear another woman talk about what it's like to be a human being who also happens to be in this career that is incredibly visible and incredibly oriented around image and perfectionism. And so that's why you're here, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, thank you. And I love what you said that because some people are like, "Oh, and now you're a speaker," and I'm like, "No, no." I love what you said about just candidly sharing our stories. That helps me so much. Hearing other people just share their own stories on podcasts. is really a part of my journey of growth and picking up things here and there that I'm like, oh, ooh, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like hearing the actual behind the scenes
Yeah.
stories
Of
from
people.
people's lives.
Yeah.
People.
I remember, to be specific, Vince Vaughn in a podcast saying that there's a ton of rejection as an actor, and that he allows himself. I listened to this when I was having a hard moment of no work, which is often. And he said, I allow myself 2 weeks where I'm like, okay, yeah, I feel crappy and I'm going to just feel the feelings. And then he goes, and then that's it. Then I'm like, okay, now what? And not that I said to myself, I'm going to do the 2 weeks, but just that part of I allow myself to, I was like, wow, even Vince Vaughn goes through this.
I mean, I work with people for a living, like helping them to feel their feelings, and I still will do everything I can to not feel my feelings. It's like it's usually like the last thing oh right, I could just sit with this.
Yeah, I did this morning because I'm without an agent now. I'm an actor.
Mm.
I had an agent for 15 years and we split ways.
Mm.
We love each other because we've been together for so long, but he's got huge clients. And I'm like, okay, there's no time for me. So whatever. It's really hard not having an agent. And I've been rejected from 2 agencies. But I'm like, okay, I keep moving forward, this attitude that we have. And this morning, as I was sipping my coffee, practice what is it? Medicine is what's the saying?
Mm-hmm.
Practice, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or practice what you preach.
Practice what you preach. Like, okay, let's pause for a minute. Take your journal, assess where are you right now? What are you feeling? What happened really? It really helped me because I was starting to have this dialogue that we all have, like, nobody wants me, I'm back this, that, which, makes you sit in really not in a place where you devalue yourself. And so it really helped me just to have that little bit of practice of.
Well, how did you catch it? Do you know what I mean? You're sipping your coffee and you're going into like the toilet bowl swirl in your head. Like,
Yes.
how did you
So
catch yourself?
every morning I use the 5-minute journal. I don't know if you know this. It's called the 5-minute journal. I've been doing that for 9 years, and it's a gratitude journal. So just you fill in the prompts. What am I grateful for this morning? And as I was doing this, I was like, I need to do a little bit more than just gratitude this morning. And there's pages at the end where you can just write notes. And I also happen to be working on a keynote where I talk about this. I call it the
Mm-hmm.
roundabout. When you feel like you're
Mm-hmm.
stuck, you're at a stop sign. Instead of moving forward when you're not ready to move on, like get on the roundabout and assess, accept, then focus on what you can control, how you respond, and connect with people who support you. That's the most famous roundabout in Paris. I don't know if you know, it's the Arc of Triumph. And
You're
so
right. Mm-hmm.
I created my own little framework around the arc. A, accept and assess. R, respond by focusing on what's in my control, what can help me move the needle forward. And C, connect with people who support me and tell them what I'm going through. So I guess I caught myself as I was doing the gratitude, and also because this keynote is in my head, and that's where I was like, hey, practice the roundabout
Right.
way.
I love that. And there's not that many cities in the States that have roundabouts. So you have to maybe educate people a little bit sometimes. We're like, this is what I'm talking about. You go to Europe.
Yes.
I was just in Europe. I just got back last week and just wishing I was there still. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I created this, because in France also, we don't have four-way stop signs like in the US. And so I remember when I moved to the States being at four-way stop signs, and so often you get to the stop sign and people stare at one another because by the time you get to
Totally.
the stop sign, you forget, in Williamsburg, like we're going to my practice for the golf team, and you stare at each other, and then people wave at each other, you go, and then people
No,
go
you
at the
go. No,
same
you
time.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, roundabouts are so much easier.
So much
And
easier.
then it gave me
So
the
much easier.
idea of, in life we get stuck at stop signs and we get all confused and how to move forward, and it feels like the road ends. What if we took a transition around the roundabout. And we can stay on that roundabout for a little while, just
Mm-hmm.
doing the things we need to do and learning, reflecting, and then we'll get onto the next road with a little more wisdom and momentum.
I'm listening to you, and I'm just reflecting on how it seems your brain works. Like
Tell me,
that you,
educate me.
I don't know. I mean, what I'm picking up is that I don't know, like that you almost are your own coach or teacher. The way you process things, you put it into, here's a tool I can use, or here's a way I can think about this, or a metaphor. And then it naturally becomes something that you could share with someone else. But it seems like you first do it for, what the hell do I need right now? Let's find something.
Hmm. Yes. I think that came from my father. Like my dad was a really good, is still, he's 90, but a really good teacher and guide for me, or guide would be the word. His father was like that too. So he always offered little pieces of wisdom that weren't whole truths, but like if you pause, you'll always know the right thing to do. You may not do the right thing to do, but you'll always know what's right and what's wrong.
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah. I also, when I was young, and when I was 20, I lost my older brother who was 28. I was really angry at everyone around me because they said the wrong thing or they didn't say anything, or, it's a part of grief. You're
Yeah.
angry at the world. But I didn't know. I was just caught in my emotions and I wasn't aware of this. But so I remember coming home and saying, so and so said this today, and so didn't say anything. And my dad said, Stephanie, your world got turned upside down. But
Mm.
everybody's world is just the same as it was. Nobody lost their brother. People do the
Mm.
best they can in those moments. Nobody knows what to do in those moments. And they're not trying to do something that is going to hurt you. And then he said, you're angry because you lost your brother. But it's nobody's fault, And then he said, the only thing that's going to help is time. And you'll see in 6 months from now, you'll start feeling a little differently. This was a man who had just lost his son and is
Son,
telling,
I
yeah.
was just thinking that as you were saying
Yes.
that.
Now, as a parent, with the
Yeah.
looking back, I'm like, he probably was speaking to himself too. But so he always sort of had a way to, I think, help me see where I was at, accept it, and then, okay, and now how do you move forward from there?
The language I would give to that, based on the work that I do, is it sounds like he was really able to enter your world, like
Yes.
to be in
Empathy.
your world, and then also to stand in his world, and or to be, to say, this is what's happening out here. For there's multiple realities. Your reality is totally valid,
No,
and
I
it's not
love
the
that.
only one. And I
Mhm.
would imagine that having that kind of parental figure and mentoring helps you to develop a sense of self, a sense of your own reality as being something that you get to care for and you get to be in, even if someone else doesn't understand it.
It can all be different from one another. It's valid. He's making you feel, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Well, and so if you were 20, that means you were in Williamsburg at that time. And
No,
is that
I
true when you're,
no, I actually went to William and Mary my freshman year and had a really hard time with culture shock.
I
And so
bet,
I ended up doing my sophomore year abroad in Paris, which was really at home.
back
Yes.
home in Paris. Yeah.
And when I left, I'll say this because I'm sure some of your audience members are parents of college kids. Again, my dad and my mom too, gave me the freedom to do this, to not stay, but also not quit. And so I was like, what if I come home, do a year abroad, and then I can decide what I want to do, whether I want to go back, whether I want to want to stay in Paris and switch universities. And they let me do that, which was really nice. And then I actually decided to go back and I finished and graduated and liked it.
I can't imagine the difference between suburban Paris and Williamsburg as
Yeah.
a young, like I can understand having culture shock.
language barrier, the culture, even studying. Like in France, we don't have multiple choice exams ever. Maybe now they do, but I had never done that. So I remember failing my Psych 101 exam midterm because it was all multiple choice. And I went to the professor, and I assure you, I know the material. I love the material. and and so he quizzed me when we were one-on-one, and it was really nice. And he said, "You're right. You do know it. You think too much." So he understood that I couldn't do the multiple
The
choice.
multiple
And
choice
yeah,
spins you out. Like, yeah,
yeah. I'm like,
totally.
well, but if this happens, then this could be true.
Overthinkers.
Yeah.
I can totally relate. Yeah. But you know, the thing that I loved, I was just talking to my husband about this morning. I was like, the thing that I loved about being at William and Mary, it was the first time in my life where people, because you got there, people just assumed you were smart and people assumed you cared and worked hard. And so, like that professor, to give you the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, well, you know, let me quiz you. Let's see. It felt like that was a 4-year period in my life where I really did get given this benefit of the doubt that I can do something. And then I went back out in the world and was like, oh, yeah, now that I'm outside of this small college where there's a circumstances that get you in there, now I'm out in the world. And I felt like I was constantly having to prove myself in a way that I didn't when I was there. I don't know if you
Oh,
had that
that's so
experience or.
interesting. Well, now that you say it, I feel, oh, that's so beautiful. And in a way, I'm like, yes, professors did give you the support. And even as you were struggling, because now I think of another professor, English professor for English as a foreign language, Mrs. Davis. She would have us over for tea in her house and really teach us how to write in English, which was very different formats. Like we did the thesis and the antithesis, like the way we formatted the essay was different. That's true. I never felt that, but I like it. It makes me feel more
Well, because
grateful
you.
about my experience there.
Well, you're welcome. Go
Yeah.
back, yeah. Because you left William and Mary and you went to New York City, right? You worked in Chanel for
Yes.
Chanel.
Yes.
Was that more homey for you? Because I'm thinking, God, that sounds terrifying as a young person, but for you, that was more at home.
Yes. I remember driving with the golf team from William and Mary to Yale. We played Yale, and the van like went on over a bridge, and we saw New York City. I had never been to New York City, and I looked through my window and I was like, oh, I'm going to be back. Like it just felt like, oh, this is real life. Yes. And then I
Funny.
went for a visit, the walking, all the different languages that you hear on the streets. It felt like I belonged there because
Mm.
nobody belongs there in a way. Everybody's a foreigner.
And so then you were there for a period of time, basically most of your 20s. You didn't get into acting until 29, which is like ancient.
Yes,
What
Hollywood.
inspired yeah, totally. What inspired that shift for you?
It was just, I think, circumstances like opportunities that presented themselves and saying yes to them, little doors opening. So I was working at Chanel for 2.5 years, and I had an opportunity to do a modeling job with them for an in-house thing. So I said yes. Like it wasn't like, "Ooh, yeah, I'm going to be like it was very not something comfortable for me to be in front of a camera. I had done it once when I was a teenager, hated it, but it was the director of advertising who asked. So I was like, I can't say no. So even though it was uncomfortable, I was like, okay. And then the photographer there asked me which modeling agency I was with. He thought I was a model. And that planted the seed that, oh, could I do that? Not that it's something I want to do, but there was something in my job, in my office job, felt a little bit like just shoot me, like every day, take it, take it. Even though it was so glamorous, I had a key to the closet, got all the makeup for free, and there was a lot of things that I liked. I studied marketing in school. This was marketing. But
Yeah.
every day, I remember I was 25, 26, we lived outside of the city, my husband and I, because we couldn't afford being in the city. But every day I was like taking the train, walking to the office. And I was like, ugh, is this life? There was something that was like, ugh, bringing me down about it. And so I thought, what if I give modeling a try and then maybe I can figure out what I want to do. And so at 26, I left a steady paycheck. Wilhelmina Models took me in. That led to commercials. And then, inside there was a little voice. I want to take an acting class. But then it was like, who are you to think you can take an acting class? And so it took me 3 years, all that to say, it took me 3 years to finally get my butt in a theater class at 29, my first ever acting class in New York City. And there I had this feeling for the first time that, oh my God, I love this. I need to do this. And it didn't mean this is going to be my job. It just meant I need to pursue this because it's feeding me, it's fueling me, it's making me feel amazing. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know I'm going to become an actor. I was just like, I need to pursue this.
But in that 3-year period where you had already thought, I really want to do this, and the internal voice was like, who are you to think you can do this? Did you think the level of resistance was equal to some knowing in you that you were gonna love it? Or did you have
Oh,
no sense?
I didn't feel that consciously. Maybe it's on the subconscious level, being afraid of doing what you know you're capable of.
Well, I don't need to analyze you. I'm not a therapist. I was just curious. But here's the question I'm most curious about when it comes to your acting. You strike me as someone who is really committed to being true to yourself, like really committed to having your insides match your outsides. And your job is to play, act, play at being someone else. So when you're playing a role, does that blur your sense of self? Does that give you a break from yourself, or does it somehow connect you more deeply to yourself?
All of the above.
Say more. I'm so curious.
In order to be truthful to a character, you have to find the truth of that character within yourself. Meaning, maybe you're not somebody who lost your child, but you know loss through this, and that's how you can
Mhm.
relate to the pain of the character. I would say that early on in my career, it definitely the lines between fiction and reality were blurred, and so I also self-indulged because acting allows you to feel. And for many years, I think I pushed down my feelings, struggled with addiction. And so
Mm.
there was with heroin addiction. So there was a lot of things. And I was strong. I kept moving forward. So I think there was a lot that
Mm.
was pushed down. And in order to act, you have to open everything. So all of a sudden, all these emotions came back, and and it felt it feels good because I was not always in alignment when you said the inside matches your outside. I was not. I think it was misaligned. So this felt like, oh, I'm allowed on stage to whatever is inside to be expressed outside. And I think I indulged a little bit because it was a good feeling. And then you
Like it was
learn.
cathartic.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
And you want to live in it. And, you're in pain and you're going to listen to more painful music. And I think that's something when you're young too. But then eventually it was also learning, okay, this is not sustainable, and what's reality and what's important for me and what am I about. There was also a part of me early on that wanted to all of a sudden be, oh, I'm an artist now, which I am, but it was like, oh, I need to fill that image of what is an artist. And it's somebody who, I'm a very joyful person naturally. I smile a lot. I'm optimistic. That's my nature. And so all of a sudden I was like, that does not fit the actor. Like
I
I
have to
need to be
wear
more
black
like,
and I've got it.
yeah, and really I have to be a little bit like I'm talking like so all of a sudden I invented this persona of when I went to castings, I have to, or auditions, I have to fit in that mold of the tortured artist because I'm going to be more interesting like this. Otherwise, they're going to think that I'm just whatever, the girl next door who's not interesting.
I think everyone can identify with feeling like at some point you feel like you have to play a certain role. right?
Yes.
Actor or not, I'm sure
Yes.
the listener is going, oh, yeah, I totally know what it feels like to play a role. I can't imagine how much more elevated the intensity of that feeling is when you're literally in a business that is about image and is about like how you project yourself, how people experience you. Like to be able to, I'm curious in that sort of career, how did you over time, because it sounds like you didn't have it at first, how did
Mm-mm.
you over time disconnect yourself from what you were quote unquote supposed to be from just being Stephanie?
It took me about 10 years. After 10 years, I actually got a big break and I got my first lead female role in a studio movie. And it was Dinner for Schmucks. I got cast as Paul Rudd's
It's
fiance.
so funny.
Yeah.
That movie is really, it hits my funny bone. Anyway, go on.
Good. Oh, I'm happy. I think it became funnier over time because it wasn't such a successful movie when it came out. But
Hmm.
so I got this role and I had an auditioning process that was long and I did well in the auditioning process. I actually, in the first audition, I really let go. I was just like, I'm gonna show up and do. I improvised. I was so free. And the reason I was so free was because I had another movie that I was up for and that I liked a lot. It was a Clint Eastwood movie. And so when I came up, I was like, oh, and then I ended up not getting the
Nothing to
Clint
risk.
Eastwood. Yeah. And not worried about what other people think, not attached
Yeah.
to the outcome, able
Yeah.
to have fun, be in the moment. It's so interesting because the more, the older I get, the more I'm like, oh my God, all these things that we can all practice in our lives. We perform better, whatever in our relationships, in our work, when we are not attached to the outcome, not worried about what other people think, not needing validation, and just being present and taking risks and seeing where it
Yeah.
goes. I got that job, but then it was so weird. I got on that movie set and people were so nice. The makeup artist was like, Jay Roach was the director and he had done Meet the Parents and Austin Powers, so big comedy director. He was like, Jay Roach is going to make you a star. And I was like, oh my God, like my ego got, I was like, is he? But then I'm on set and Jay is so nice to me and there's Paul Rudd and Steve Carell. And all of a sudden I'm like, how am I supposed to act? I couldn't be my own actor. I would go home, I would watch movies, I would see Jennifer Aniston, and all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, that's what I should do tomorrow. Oh, yeah, being paralyzed by fear of what other people
Yeah.
are going to think, fear of not being good enough, fear of being a beginner and trying not to look like a beginner. Like classic, what I discovered, what they call imposter syndrome. Like, I don't belong here and
Hmm.
I'm not qualified to be here and I'm going to be found out.
And in the meantime, you're just like frantically trying to grasp for like something that's going to make you feel good enough.
No, not even. I am anxious. I am
Mm.
shaking inside. I can't talk to people normally. I feel like everybody thinks I suck. It's impacting the way I perform, the way I relate with people, and my well-being. Like it's just I'm not in a good place. Everybody around me was so nice. Like looking back, I'm like, and
Well, and I
I
would
was
also
beating myself
imagine,
up too. I was like, you freaking idiot. I thought I thought you're such a choker. You can't handle pressure. What a loser. I remember doing
ugh.
takes and saying out loud, ah, fuck me, like out loud, because I was so mad that I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And the crew was like, whoa, she's intense. Anyway, not a good time and how I felt for my well-being. And then I had another movie after that where I got cast and it was also very big names. And I was like, okay, get it together. You're going to get it. But those were my only tools at the time was that
Fuck me or get
or
it
get it
together.
together. That's all I knew.
Well, and look, you are so not alone. That is what most of us
Yes.
know
Rely on.
until way late into our years. And some people don't get beyond those things at all
Yeah.
until they start to find something that's actually useful and reliable. So how did that shift happen for you that you developed more tools?
I asked my therapist, I had a therapist and he was helpful, but it didn't click. He would give me
Mm.
like self-talk, but he helped me see that I was qualified to be there, but it didn't click. And then by randomly I bought a book. I actually heard Deepak Chopra speak on the radio on the AM dial. I was in a rental car and I don't know, the way he spoke at the time just spoke to my heart. That's the best way. It made me feel peaceful. He was talking about surrendering, giving, acceptance, connection, like all, and I was like, all these things.
That you
None
can
of this is in
feel.
my life. Yes,
Yeah.
I can feel this is so important to me, and my life has none of it. And then
Yeah.
by chance, I saw his book in a train station, which was The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought, this is self help. I don't do self help. What
I
the
don't
frick
do
is self
that.
help? But I was like, fuck it. I'm going to get the book. And I read that book. And in one sitting, I called my husband and I was like, oh my God, I read a book. It's going to change my life. And and then I made myself flashcards about those principles and I every morning before I would go on set, I would read my flash. So I took to the point of what you said earlier. I took what was in the book, but then I kind of made it my own in the flashcards.
Yeah.
And I did drawings and because I'm a visual person and every
Uh-huh.
morning I would strengthen these principles by looking at the flashcard again. And it made me during the day notice how other people were using these principles. I was like, oh,
Ah.
it was, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to do this today. And it gave me basically, it redirected me. My mind was all centered on me, be good, do what are they thinking? And now it was no, like just be here, be present, embrace the unknown, no
Mhm.
judgment, all
Mhm.
these principles that really spoke to me. And
Well,
that
I noticed
was,
as
yeah, sorry,
I'm
I'll stop
sorry. I
there.
was going to say, I
No, no,
noticed as you were talking about it, you touched your chest a lot
yes,
more. You sat up straighter. There was more, you were more like in your body. And I think that's the thing that I know myself and the person listening, so many of us have in common. There's like, if you're up here in your head, not a lot of good stuff is happening up there. There's a lot of shit talking going on up there and a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety. But when you can come back down below your neck and like connect, I watched you do it. It's like you spread out and you said you're a visual person, but I would imagine you're also a very embodied person because you can't do your job unless you know how to get in your body and take on entirely a way of being.
such a good point. And I love that you talk about being in your body because I guess my first aha moment was changing my mind, the what was I focusing on and learning about new principles of life. Then I learned, which I didn't know, that I was not connected to my body at all. The way I learned that was I wanted to develop my voice. I guess I could feel there was tension in my voice when I was acting. This is 10 years, in my career. And so I was like, oh, I'll take a singing class or something. Teacher said to me, can you do a monologue for me? And so I did. And she said, okay, you're a good actress. Do you know you don't breathe when you act? And I was like, what? She said, you don't breathe.
You're like, oh, I don't need to. I'm beyond that. I'm good.
I didn't even know. She was like, your chest, your torso is paper thin. It's not rounded. Your ribs are flat. Like she said, did you dance when you were young? And I said, yes, I did ballet for a long time. And she said, that explains it. You keep everything.
Hmm.
And she said, I can't, honey, teach you how to sing. You're going to need to learn how to be in your body. You're going to need to learn how to breathe. I'm sending you to a teacher who teaches Alexander technique. And I don't know if you know this.
I do. Yeah.
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 And so that was another piece of the puzzle that helped.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Arriving back in yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
I want to go back to the way you said you started your mornings during that time with the flashcards. your notes from Deepak Chopra's book, that reminds me then of your book, Selfish,
Mm.
and how it's really about helping people create their own playbook. It's like you're basically helping people do what you naturally do, which is, hey, here's all this really great stuff that you've been told about what helps you do self-care or be more grounded. And like, what's yours? How do you want to take that away? Can you tell the listener more about your book, Selfish, then?
Selfish. I wrote this book 3 years ago, and with a mental health nonprofit, so with experts, I have to say, because I was like, I can't write this on my own. And the reason I did it was because Given Hour is a national mental health nonprofit, and they loved this concept of having your own personal playbook. The flashcards then evolved to, on my phone, I had an album where I kept all the things, the reminders that bring me confidence, bring me joy, bring me meaning, all the things that elevate my mindset, my mind. So it's not just the Deepak Chopra, it's like, it's when you think of a grandmother's quilt on a bed,
Mm.
and it has
Mm-hmm.
different fabrics from all different areas of life of your family, and each piece separately would connect you to this memory or this part of your family. But then the quilt stitches all these fabrics together. And now when you look at the quilt, it's not only, it like goes over just every individual. The value is more than every, little piece. It creates an emotional connection. This is your story. So watching my playbook in the morning, I hit play, I watch it with music, and there's memories, there's guidance, there's principles. And at the end, I'm like, I feel reconnected, like you said, to my heart.
I mean, you just talking about it right now, I can see it in your face. Your face lights up and your whole body, like you can tell that you've created something that has a life force of its own, that you get to take it in
Yes.
when you and I
Yeah,
got
and I want to share it. Yeah, you get to play
no,
around
no,
with
I
it.
got to play with the app as well.
Yeah.
And early on when it was in beta, is it still in beta?
Yeah, it's in beta because I created it, and anyone can download it for free, because my hope is that I can find a partner who is somebody in the mental health, well-being, technology space that already has a platform that could
Mm-hmm.
benefit from this playbook approach. So I created it so they can understand the concept, but I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't want to, I know all the things that the app needs in order to be sticky, in order for people to
Yeah.
use it. And it's a lot of work. So that's why,
Yeah.
but meanwhile, I use the app every day.
I want it out there too, because the way when I first was back and forth with you about it, I said, to me, this is like if social media was just for me. There was like a social media channel where it's just for me. I'm the only one who gets to see it. Everything on it makes me feel amazing. Doesn't make me feel shit, like, and I get to go to it every day and build on it, but also be built up by it. If you're going to have a phone with anything on it, this is the sort of thing that I want on my phone. Like,
Mhm.
it's like it's a personal hype space on your
Yes.
phone.
Exactly. It's your highlight reel, it's your joy reel. And I have different playbooks, for different moments of life. So I have one for before I go on set, one before I go
Mm-hmm.
play golf. And to come back to your question about the book, so the book is a workbook that will help the reader create, because when I shared this concept, it was during COVID. Given Hour, we had a webinar series, and they wanted to encourage their community to build their own playbook. So we just explained the concept, and everybody would ask, okay, so what do you put in your playbook? And I was like you said earlier, it's personal. We're all
Yeah.
at different stages in our life. I can't tell you what to put in your playbook. And then some people would say, oh, so you put all your quotes. And I'm like, well, it's a lot more than quotes. You can put memories from your life of moments where you shine, moments you're proud of, moments where you helped somebody, emails that thank you for the difference you've made in the world. There's so much you can put in there. And then somebody suggested that I write a workbook. And so the book will help you create your own playbook. There's 8 exercises that will lead you to find the content for your playbook.
The people listening who might know Deb Dana's work. Deb Dana is a person who talks a lot about nervous system regulation. And in it, she talks about how we have triggers and we have glimmers. And triggers are the things that activate us or dysregulate us or bring us down. And glimmers are the things that ground us, center us, make us feel more at home. And so to me, Selfish is about finding your glimmers.
I love
It's a
that.
repository for glimmers.
Yes.
Right? These are the things that just make you feel shiny again. In
I
whatever
need
the
to
specific
find-
instance is.
I need to look this up because I always call it reminders. And I'm like, that reminders is not, but glimmers.
Glimmers. Isn't it good?
Yes.
Deb Dana. That's where
Okay.
that comes from. Today is that this is coming out. It's October 9th. Tomorrow, your latest movie comes out. And before I want to ask you what it's about and who you play, but I'm curious, again, in terms of being someone who's in touch with their insides, I'm curious what opening night is like when it comes out, when this project you've been investing in for so long, working on, being on set forever and ever, it's finally in the world. What does that feel like?
It's not a big, a lot of people say, oh my God, you must be so excited. I'm very excited for John O'Leary because it's a movie about his life. It's a true story. I'll tell you later what it's about. But other than that, what I love is the work is when I'm on set. I need to, I want to leave every day being like, oh my God, I left it all there. I surprised myself. I listened. I connected. That's what is the stuff that why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Once I do that, it's out of my control. I've learned to detach myself from the finished product because, it's an editor's medium. They can choose the take that they want. They can cut it up. They can cut all the silences, and all of a sudden you're just a talking head. It was frustrating for me early on. I was like, that wasn't how I played it. And yet it looks, so I'm like, it's done. And people will react the way they react. It's out of my control. So it's fun if there's a premiere, you get to go there with the people that you did the movie with. But I'll tell you, if there's a premiere, I usually come back home and I'm like drained and feel like, oh.
And your feet hurt.
Yeah, and your feet hurt. Yeah.
So the movie is Soul on Fire. And as you said, this is a first true story you've acted in, isn't it?
Yes, I've never played a real character before. So it's a story of little John O'Leary, who, when he was growing up in St. Louis, he got burnt. He was playing with fire and he got burnt from the neck down, 100% of his body. House caught on fire. He was rushed to the hospital, and the doctors said they put him into surgery, but they told his mom and dad that he had less than 0.5% chance of surviving that first night.
Oh,
and
shit.
Yeah, obviously he survived. He spent 5 months in the hospital. It's a movie not about just him, it's about the whole community. People coming together for this family. People said he would never walk again. And this one nurse decided, you're going to walk again. And he put him through a lot of pain, but got him to walk again. Jack Buck, who was an announcer for the St. Louis Cardinals, heard about this little boy and came, spoke to him, and then the whole team came and eventually sent baseballs to his house to help him learn how to write again. Then, there's John O'Leary, fast forward today, is a speaker. He has a podcast. His book, On Fire, is an international best-selling book, but it wasn't a straight road to that. There was a lot of hiding his scars, literally and emotionally, drinking, numbing his pain, and eventually learning to accept who he is. And not only that, but share it with other people and find the lessons in his journey. And now he's an amazing person. So I play his mom, a woman who loved but also gives tough love. And I'm a mother myself. And when I read the book, I was like, holy cow. she had him take piano lessons when he came home and he had no fingers. And he was like, I hate you in his mind, you know? And she
Oh,
just said, John, my kids take piano lessons. You're no different. So go in the living room with Mrs. Whitaker and take your lesson. And now he can play the piano.
no way.
Yeah, she didn't help him, feed himself. She wanted him to learn how. She
There was no
really
enabling.
no enabling, and she wasn't mean, but she just was right there with him, but made him do those things.
I'm sorry. You mentioned that you're a mom. Then so, and you reading that, the holy cow, what did you take away anything in your own parenting from playing her?
I made me feel good about when I'm a tough mom sometimes, and I
You're not a
think
jerk.
I'm like, oh, there's value in that, but I think it's really important for me, it was a sort of oh, tough love is part of love. And we live in a time where maybe we forget that a little bit in the message that's being out there, about support and being there for our children. All that is important, but at times I think we need a little bit of tough love too. And then I looked at my own life and people who really made an impact and helped me grow, whether it's acting teachers or in life, my dad and my manager, they gave me all tough love.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
helps you be accountable. It also means people believe in you when you don't
Yeah.
believe in yourself, and they're like, you can do better than this.
Right. Right. I recently had a very wise friend of mine say that if you've been a solid B plus in your career, for example, for a long time, you don't get to being an A by people telling you how great you are. You get to being
Hmm.
an A by people telling you what you're not doing well and
Yes.
being really honest with you. And I was like, oh, that's really true. And when you are used to being a solid B plus, you don't necessarily get a lot of people telling you what you suck at or where you could get better. Most of the time, people are like, oh, you're great. So to have the people who will say, hey, this wasn't very good, that's when you know they see you and they want something better for you. As long as they can do it in a way that's encompassing of,
Yes.
being supportive and loving, it's such a rare and true gift to be offered tough love.
Yeah. And then you trust, then
Yeah,
there's a really deep trust in those relationships because when they tell you you're doing a good job, that's the
it's
truth.
legit.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I hope people see this movie because it really does feel like, I mean, I've watched the trailer a couple times, and every time I watch the trailer, I get all teary. It feels like one of those movies where I'm basically going to cry through
Mm.
half of it.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm a big
But you'll be
crier, so
inspired too. It's an inspiring
right,
story.
right. It's like that's it. It feels like
Yeah.
it's just a good story, and we need good stories these days, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's the kind of movie you're gonna not just feel inspired, but leave, and there's so many little glimmers or tidbits of wisdom that are like
Hmm.
to here and there. Somebody asked me, "What do in the press thing? What do you hope audiences will take it?" And I'm like, everybody always asks this movie. I'm so curious because depending on where we are in our lives, we just
Uh-huh.
pick up different things. I think it will help start conversations between friends and families.
Well, and like you said, it sounds like, yes, it's about John's story, but it's about everyone in the community that made up part of his story. So it sounds like there are going to be different people that the
Yeah.
person watching can relate to depending on who they are and where they're at in their life as well.
Yes. I mean, I'll just say one last thing. We shot in the hospital, scenes when he's in the hospital, and the nurses that helped him back then were there on the movie set,
Wow.
helping the actors who played the nurses to do. And these women still know John, and they had the stories they told. I mean, so yes, from caregivers, nurses
Wow.
to baseball players. Yeah, it's really great.
Incredible. That's so great. Well, so I don't want to keep you much longer, but I want to come back to the question that I always ask people at the end. And you're the perfect person to ask this question because you have a whole playbook that is personally yours. So, of your playbook, is there something that you do on a regular basis that helps you really stay with yourself? You know, like rather than going out into spiraling overthinking or going into performing and people pleasing, but like, is there something that is one of your go-to ways? I mean, the playbook itself, but is there something within that that like is an anchor for you that brings you back to yourself?
It's always something different because I think every day we wake up and we are in a we change, right?
Yeah,
Change is inevitable.
hopefully.
Yeah. The outside changes, the inside changes. And so whenever I look at my playbook, it's something different that's going to hit me. And it's like, oh, this is what I needed today. But I will say I do transcendental meditation, and that is one practice always reconnects me to that place inside.
What you said, though, to me speaks of the importance of having multiple tools, having multiple glimmers, having multiple pathways. Because, like you said, what works one day isn't going to be the thing that makes a difference the next day. And
Hmm.
so, with that, I really want to encourage people to get selfish. I usually show the book and I left my copy in the other room this morning when I was prepping. Do you have your copy? I have done the exercises, the 8 exercises in the book. I have the app. And I really think, especially there it is. I love the marketing, the color of all of that.
Thank you.
For people who have been on the self-development, self-help bus for a while, like this is just a really great way to consolidate your learning and your claiming of yourself and make something that's really uniquely yours. So I'm so grateful to you for making that resource for people, Stephanie. And I really do
Thank
hope it gets picked up by something somewhere big that can get it out to as many people as possible.
Thank you. It means a lot coming from you, and thank you for your support when the book came out, and looking at the app. I really appreciate it.
It was my pleasure, truly, truly. I'm excited to see the movie. I hope people get out and see it. And I wish you all the best in whatever the next adventure is for you. May it be fun and may it be something that you get to be fully embodied and fully yourself.
Thanks. Right back at you.
Thank you. And hey, wait, before we go, let me just remind everyone listening and myself, because this is always a reminder for myself. Your insights matter and the right people will meet you there. So stay with yourself. And I'll see you next week.